Today's video is a long time in the making because I'm talking about a smaller niche brand. This is truly a niche brand. It's not available all over the world. It's not available in a lot of major cities, but if you live in North America, you can get your nose on these perfumes. And today I'm talking about Perfumehead. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen me mention this brand a few times. I became aware of the brand last year when one of their perfumes was nominated for an Art and Olfaction Award, and that perfume is in this discovery set called the Icons. That's when I first heard about the brand, but of course I made note of it and then kind of moved on. And then later in the year, someone contacted me from a big department store here called Holt Renfrew, and they kind of are the main stop for luxury fragrances, luxury clothing, any kind of luxury item, even like luxury Christmas presents and kids stuff. That is where you would go to purchase that sort of stuff, kind of like a Nordstrom, I would say. So I was contacted by someone at Holt Renfrew and someone on the sales floor, and they said, come on down, we've got these Perfumehead perfumes and I think that you will really like them. So of course I sped down there and I got to smell all the scents, and I walked away with a booklet of what the perfumes were about, and someone had taken me through them, but they did not have any samples and they weren't allowed to really make any samples at that time. I don't know if things have changed, but they don't really, at least at that location, in the Calgary location, they don't have samples ever of anything. So it's kind of a wasteland if that's what you go in looking for. But I got to smell the perfumes, and of course I sprayed some on my skin and I loved what I had smelled. So they were on my radar. I posted about them, especially because they had room number. And the reason that I bring up room number and the fact that it was nominated for an Art and Olfaction Award is because the Art and Olfaction Awards are done completely blind. So everybody that is on the judging committee gets sent samples that are numbered. They are not labeled with the name of the perfume or even the brand name. So all the judges are smelling the perfume completely blind, and they're choosing their favorites from whatever they smell. And then the Art and Olfaction Award Committee compiles all the results, and then they do their awards. So if you want to know what is the best in each category, you can go on the Art and Olfaction website, and they've tried their best to take away any kind of bias when it comes to selecting winners, and I think that that is important. There is a lot of bias when we choose what our favorite things are, and even when we have purchased something, there's a bias there because now we have paid money for whatever it is, and there's a degree of ego that's involved in that, right? We don't want to necessarily admit that something was a poor choice or a bad purchase. I know I've been unhappy with some of the things that I've bought, and I get a little bit critical of packaging and things like that, but I want to be honest about what my experience is, and it is really, really hard to do that. It's hard to be honest about having made a mistake sometimes. So they try to take away all bias, and the winners are the winners. And, even if a perfume didn't win, just the fact that it got selected as being nominated in whatever category, I think is important. So I had told everybody, get down there, smell the perfumes, because if you like perfume, then you kind of owe it to yourself to see what something that has been judged as being the best, what that smells like. And I was lucky enough to be able to smell them in person. And then the brand did respond to my stories, and they sent me a sample set. So that is what the icons are. These are the iconic perfumes from the collection, and I really have enjoyed sampling this over the past 6 months. I think I got this in June and now it's January, so I have had over 6 months with this sample set and I've enjoyed it so much. And I've been meaning to make this video, but I wanted to be really sure about what I was smelling and what I was relaying in my video. I wanted to be accurate in my descriptions, and I hope that I can do that now. I'm going to go through all the perfumes in this sample set and describe them, and I'll tell you which ones are my favorite and which ones I didn't really jive with, and tell you a little bit about the brand. So that is Perfumehead. Stay tuned. Before I start describing the perfumes, a little bit of background about the brand. The founder of the brand is Daniel Patrick Giles, who himself is actually Canadian, and he worked in the fashion industry for many years before working in the beauty industry. So this is someone that knows their way around beauty and fashion. And the perfumes are all inspired by the universe of old Hollywood and the glamour, the more glamorous side of LA. And Daniel Patrick Giles does live in LA, so he's immersed in that world and has created scents that are inspired by that world. They are all extrait de parfum, so that means that they have 25% perfume oil in their formula, and the alcohol that they use is made out of cane sugar. So they are trying to give people a quality product, and the prices do reflect that as well. These are quite expensive. I think they are $450 Canadian for a 50 ml bottle, which prices them at being about or more expensive than some of the Frederic Malle perfumes, or something more luxurious like MFK. You know, they are in competition with that kind of luxury brand. But like I said, unlike those brands, this is actually niche perfume because you can't get it anywhere. They are not owned by a big beauty conglomerate like L'Oreal or Estee Lauder. So this is an independent niche brand. And on the box, it says that they are crafted in Los Angeles and made in France. Initially, there was no, or at least not a lot of information on the brand's website about who the perfumers were behind each of the scents. And I know some people kind of commented about that, but now the website has been updated and the perfumers are listed there. I will say that when I had been looking up room number, there was a perfumer listed beside room number the scent on the Art and Olfaction website. So it's not like they were purposely hiding who the perfumers were. I think they just maybe didn't realize that that's something that everybody wanted to know. I will add that knowing who the perfumers are hasn't really made a difference to me personally as I smell these perfumes. None of them are people that I follow the work of, although now they will be on my radar. And I don't think it was ever a secret. I think they just didn't think that that was what the people wanted. But now that they know that there's an interest in that, you can look up all the perfumes on the website and see who the perfumers are for each of the perfume. As you can probably tell already, I am a huge fan of all these scents. Not that I love them all equally, but I do think that they are very well done and they're bringing something that's interesting and different to the world of perfume without really offending or even challenging people way too much. These are all beautiful, they're all wearable, and they are still interesting works of art that stand alone and by themselves. So I think that that is important when you're bringing something new to the market. You don't want to recreate things that are already out there, but at the same time, you want to be able to reference the things that people are already familiar with. And so with the Perfumehead perfumes are able to do both of those things. And I think that that is a difficult thing to achieve. There's a lot of brands that are either copying whatever is trendy and new. So you can look at the brands that are giving you another version of Bianco Latte, and they've clearly pivoted and worked really quickly to give people that. And then there's also lots of brands that are giving you something that's so weird and out there that it just seems unwearable as a perfume. I know I've said this before. I really like to smell pretty. So I want something that represents beauty. I don't want people around me to be offended by how strange I smell. So there's a place for experimentation and being interesting, but I think there's also a place for giving and producing something that people are actually going to use, right? And my collection is not a museum quality collection. I like to wear my perfume. I share my perfume. We have perfume club meetings all the time. Meetings, they're just like a bunch of us hanging out and smelling perfume and talking about perfume. So I like perfume that I am going to wear, and that is the stuff that I buy, and that's really the stuff that I like to review on my channel as well. The marketing of this brand is so well done, and I think that that is because of the background of the founder who has worked in marketing. So when you go on the website, and I'll show you this front page, but when you go on the website, they say join this, welcome to the Osmocosm. So Osmo referring to smell and cosm being world. So they've created this world of smells for us, and all the scents, like I say, are inspired by LA and refer to a time period or a time of day or even a film or song. So if you are trying to figure out how to place a scent, then you have a way of doing that because of all the other material that they've given you. So they've given you images and they've given you ideas that you can pair with what you're smelling, which I think is great because you might not be able to smell all the ingredients or all the notes that are listed. There's a lot of talk about how notes pyramids are just, marketing and it's just made up. And so to get away from the idea of just giving people a notes pyramid, they've given you ideas instead, and you can use your imagination to kind of figure out what you are smelling and how it connects to you. What I'll do today is start by talking about my favorite from this set, and then I'll describe all the others just so I don't run out of steam as I go through all these scents. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 perfumes in this sample set. And if you are interested in trying these, you can purchase them on the Perfumehead website. I know that they are also available at Violet Grey, which is an online retailer. There's a store in LA. If you live in USA, you can get the perfumes and the sample set off that website also. Initially, I think La La Love is one that was limited edition and was not in this sample set, but now it is. And the other one that I think was not in the original perfumes, or in the original sample set of 7 perfumes, is Xanaboud. I think that is a newer perfume also. So if you have already sampled this brand and you have a sample set maybe that has 7 of the perfumes, now the sample set has 9 perfumes, and it's because it has these 2 that have been added to it. I will start by talking about my favorite perfume from the collection, and that one is Canadian Tuxedo. Canadian Tuxedo is maybe not the most unique fragrance from the whole line, but it's my favorite because it's an amber perfume and I'm really into amber perfumes right now. I lived in a place that's very cold most of the time, and Canadian Tuxedo is the perfect perfume to wear for cold weather. So I think it is aptly named. It is supposed to be a you of like a worn-in pair of jeans. It's supposed to be comfortable and approachable and inviting, laid back. That is what I think about when I think of this scent. It's ambery, but it's still unlike a lot of the other ambers that I know and love. I would love to spray all of these, but they are so strong, and I feel like it's going to be too much scent that's in the air, and it's going to fatigue my nose quite quickly. So I'll just smell it from the sprayer, the sample. You can see that I haven't really used a lot of it, even though I think that I'm familiar enough with it to describe it. But that's because these are so strong that I literally only wear one spray at a time. And I found them to be very potent even when I took them with me in the summer to Toronto, which is warmer and more humid, and I still found that I did not have to spray a lot to be able to wear this perfume. So as an amber, Canadian Tuxedo has notes of Peru balsam, it has patchouli in it, it has a little bit of cumin and coriander, but still not enough to really make it read sweaty. If I had to kind of compare it to another amber perfume, I would compare it to Grand Soir by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, but this is missing the lavender and the very kind of generic masculine opening of Grand Soir, and instead it's just replacing it with aromatic spices and giving you a really rich, luxurious dry down. I also get a lot of labdanum when I smell this perfume, and labdanum kind of has this like jammy, sticky kind of quality to it, and that paired with the patchouli and the other notes that are in here just makes this a really gorgeous perfume to wear. The Tolu balsam in this, if you've worn Shalimar by Guerlain, you'll be familiar with Tolu balsam. It is a type of incense that is used in some places. So it's got this kind of, again, almost like a smoky quality to it. But because these are all so concentrated, when I first spray this, all I can smell is the base. And then as I wear the perfume throughout the day, it kind of unfolds itself, and then I get all the other notes. So I can see why some people think that a notes pyramid is kind of outdated or uninformative at this point, because you're not getting, when you wear this perfume, you're not really getting a top, middle, and base. Like, you're not getting citruses and then those disappear and you get like these florals, and then those disappear and then you get like whatever's left in the base, like woods or musks or the resins. Like, that's not how this unfolds and wears on me. You just get this like dense, compacted labdanum amber base that's on your skin, and then the rest of the day you get whiffs of the aromatics, whiffs of spices, whiffs of maybe some woods, or whiffs of whatever other notes you can smell in this. And so for me, I thought that that was really different and a different experience than other perfumes that I have worn and that I have in my collection. It really does wear in a very different way. I think that's because they're extrait de parfums. So what you smell when you first spray this, like, yes, you're still going to get that labdanum and patchouli and that amber accord all the way for the whole time that you're wearing this perfume, but the other notes are going to reveal themselves more slowly. And that means that this perfume has a really long wear time. Like, it has a very long time of unfolding and revealing itself, and that is probably why it took me a little bit longer to get to reviewing these samples, because I wasn't always sure that my impressions were accurate, because every time I would wear them I might notice something else about them. If I look at the branding that is for Canadian Tuxedo, they have said that the emotion is seductive and the time of day is 6 p.m. And 6 p.m. is dinner time for a lot of people here in North America. So I think, if you're sitting down to dinner with your family at 6 p.m. and you're wearing your comfortable jeans and maybe a denim shirt, a Canadian Tuxedo is denim head to toe. I have owned and worn many a Canadian Tuxedo in my life. Then this is a scent that fits that. It is a warm, comfortable, approachable scent. Maybe not seductive, but definitely one that makes you want to lean in and smell a little bit more. The other perfume that I really loved in this line is La La Love. And La La Love is their gourmand perfume. I think I loved it because it shares a lot of similarities with Canadian Tuxedo. It's really warm, it's rich, it's ambery, but there's an overdose of vanilla in here. There's also a booziness, and when I looked it up, there is a cognac note that's in this, and I think to my nose that kind of smelled a little bit spicy. Oh my God, this is so good. My mouth is watering. Again, I haven't worn a ton of it because these are just so strong. I could smell this forever, and reminded why it's my favorite. So there is a spiciness, like a warm spice, almost like a cinnamon, maybe a bit of saffron in there. If you're someone that doesn't like a boozy note, give this one a shot because I also don't love boozy notes. They always just kind of read a little bit weird to my nose, but La La Love was one that I really liked. Does it smell glamorous like I imagine LA smells? I think it smells expensive and it smells likable. So yes, it fits the idea and concept of LA if that's something that you're looking for. Again, if you like things like Musk Ravageur or you like something like Grand Soir, you should give Canadian Tuxedo and La La Love a try because they are like those two perfumes, but stronger, richer, just better to wear. I don't always like really strong perfumes. I have said that many, many, many times that longevity is not something that I factor into my decision-making process when I'm trying to decide whether to get a perfume or not. I kind of just evaluate it by how it smells and how much I like that. But these last a really long time, and you will need such a small amount to be able to smell good all day. Again, what I noticed with La La Love and with Canadian Tuxedo is that if they feel so compacted and you smell way more of the base right away, and then as the perfume dries down and the different aspects of it wear with the heat of your skin, then you get all the other notes that are in the scent. If you're someone that doesn't like spicy notes, like if you don't like cumin and you can immediately smell that when you smell Canadian Tuxedo, then you might like La La Love instead. I think La La Love is probably maybe a crowd favorite, maybe really easy to love, and Canadian Tuxedo might be for the person that has a more seasoned nose and doesn't mind something like cumin. I know in my own fragrance journey, at the beginning, I was really sensitive to things like cumin, and then now when I smell it, it's almost like I tune it out and I can just read all the other notes in addition to the cumin that's in the background. So Canadian Tuxedo still my favorite. La La Love very close second. Those are my favorite perfumes in the Perfumehead collection. Next perfume is Room Number, and even though this was not my favorite, I think it is one that I have to talk about because this was the one that was nominated for the Art and Olfaction Award. Also, I'll say that when I had my perfume-loving friends over to smell these perfumes, this one was the one that was everybody's favorite, and I said that I would give them my sample when I was done with it, but I'm still not done with it, and that was 6 months ago. So definitely maybe Room Number is one that every perfumista, perfume head, fragrance head should smell. again, haven't sprayed a lot of it because it's so concentrated. I probably only worn this a couple times because it was not my favorite, and I was really gravitating toward the warmer, more ambery scents. Room Number is a woody perfume, and the woods that you're going to smell in Room Number is predominantly Palo Santo. This is a Palo Santo perfume. Yes, you have to like Palo Santo in order to like Room Number because it does have a good deal of Palo Santo in it. There's also nutmeg in the scent, and nutmeg can sometimes just smell like pumpkin spice, but in this case it doesn't do that. It just adds kind of a warmer touch to the Palo Santo that is what you're mostly smelling. There's also a tea note, and tea can read very delicate and fresh, but paired with the Palo Santo, it kind of reads meditative, and this would be a scent that I think lends itself to meditation or having more of a contemplative time with yourself. Maybe you are immersed in solitude. Maybe you want to just project an aura of being zen. That's what I think about when I think of Room Number. I liked Room Number, but it's not my favorite one. But I think that if you're a perfume head and you like Palo Santo, like that's a scent that you really enjoy, then you should smell this one too. There's a good deal of leather in this perfume, and you get the leather right when you smell it. Like I said, you get this, punch of all the notes, everything together when you first smell the perfume and you first spray it on skin. But the leather kind of softens up as the perfume wears, and then you get more of that Palo Santo, and it's really beautiful, and you get like the tea and the nutmeg, so you've got this warmth kind of aura around you as you're wearing Room Number. So I like Room Number too. I need to probably wear it a little bit more. I'll confess that I'm not the hugest fan of Palo Santo. To me, it smells a lot like cloves, and I grew up with cloves, so that scent is not something that's really it's just so familiar that it doesn't feel interesting enough for me to wear. I'll give Room Number a few more tries, but this was just not in my top two, but definitely one that I think that everybody else should smell because it seems to be one that people really enjoy. Going still from most favorite to least favorite, although I've said that I did enjoy wearing all of these and I tried all of these on skin. The next one I'll talk about is Cosmic Cowboy. This is a crowd favorite, and part of the reason is because it does have ambery notes in it, and I think people do seem to gravitate towards ambers. The reason that this one was not my favorite is because it has a whiskey note in it and a tobacco note in it. I'm not a huge fan of those notes in perfume, but I know that they are really popular. The other perfume that I can think of that is kind of boozy, that might be kind of in this looking in the same direction as this perfume, might be something like Apple Brandy by Kilian. But Apple Brandy is so fruity, and kind of that scent profile is kind of very mass appealing at this point. Cosmic Cowboy is a little bit more interesting because it's got notes of cinnamon and cocoa, so it's got a bit of a gourmand nature to it, but in a way that's not something that you've smelled before. I was just turned off by the whiskey and the tobacco. It's supposed to make you think of kind of a cowboy that's partying by a fire. So you've got the whiskey, you've got tobacco in the air, and you've also got a warmth, a heat kind of. And I think that the concept does actually fit the scent. Let's also talk about some of the florals in this collection. You'll notice that although I love florals, these were not in my top 5. No real reason for that. I think I'm just having a very vanilla moment. I'm into really warm scents, and I have been for the past little bit. I'll start by talking about Moonflower, and Moonflower is for those of us who love white florals. And of course, the name Moonflower is completely on the nose because those white florals bloom at nighttime. I actually have a night blooming jasmine in my house, and they bloom at nighttime once they get their flowers, and you can smell the scent of the flowers at nighttime. And that applies to jasmine. It applies to tuberose as well. Very similar kind of scent profile. Moonflower is a luxurious, spicy white floral perfume. The spice that's in Moonflower is cardamom, so it kind of references other white florals that we have grown to know and love, like something like Dior's Poison, which is tuberose and coriander. But instead of coriander, which can be a little too spicy for some people, it has cardamom. And I think cardamom is a great choice because cardamom has that spiciness, but it's also got a menthol quality. And a lot of really famous tuberose perfumes have something that's mentholated. You know, if you smell something like Carnal Flower has a mentholated top note. And if you smell something like Tuberose Criminelle by Serge Lutens, that's got wintergreen in the opening, which kind of plays with the tuberose notes. Tuberose has a natural camphorous quality to it anyways, and so all those notes kind of play on that. Cardamom has that camphorous mentholated quality, but then it's also kind of yummy, and I love a cardamom note in perfumes, and so Moonflower was really a lovely white floral for me to smell. There's also a lot of musk in this perfume, and I really mainly got a lot of the white floral. I got a lot of jasmine and mixed with tuberose, and then in the opening there was a little bit of orange flower or orange blossom, and this is the white floral that you need to try if you are bored of all the other white floral perfumes that are in your collection. I think these days, from what I've read and what I can see, white florals are not as in fashion as some other notes. I know vanilla is kind of having its heyday, but people have always loved vanilla. I don't know. In my opinion, I don't know if Moonflower is going to be very popular, but Moonflower might just be the perfume that turns you on to white florals. So you never know. That's what Carnal Flower was for me. That was the perfume that made me a lover of white florals, because before that I did not really like tuberose. Moonflower up there with Carnal Flower, and so enjoyable, lovely to wear. Just wasn't my favorite from what I smelled in the collection. The brand gives you images that go with the scents, and they also give you films that go with the scents and songs that go with the scents. And I'll just read you what they have said about Moonflower. They've said that the inspirations are Robert Mapplethorpe's Floral Still Lifes, Janelle Monáe's Tuxedos. I can totally see that. Actually, I can see Janelle Monáe wearing this. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, fitting. Notorious by Alfred Hitchcock, never saw that one. And Santana's Flor de Luna. I'll have to listen to that. So that's interesting. I think it helps people understand the perfumes a little bit better. I hope it helps people understand the perfumes a little bit better. There's an attempt to guide people in their imagination when they're trying to connect with the perfumes. And these are perfumes that you're supposed to experience slowly. I don't think I could have gotten the sample set and reviewed the perfumes that same weekend. It's going to take me even more time to understand them fully, but I am enjoying every second that I wear these. So they are worth experiencing. Every perfume collection needs a rose perfume in their lineup. I know when I was first purchasing perfume, if I would go to a counter and someone asked me what I liked or what I wanted to smell, I would always say that I liked roses and I wanted to smell a rose perfume. So the rose perfume in this collection is Reine des Anges. This is the rose perfume, as I mentioned. It is a rose patchouli. There's saffron in here for spice. I love a rose patchouli. The only reason I wouldn't get this is because I have so many rose patchoulis in my perfume collection. And I've worn so much rose patchouli in my perfume wearing days. So lovely, not groundbreaking, but nice. It's a nice rose patchouli. It's very concentrated. How does it compare to other iconic rose patchouli? So how does it compare to Portrait of a Lady, which is my queen of rose patchouli perfumes? I would say Portrait of the Lady has lots of spices in it, and I love all those spices. And Reine des Anges doesn't have all of those, so I like Portrait of a Lady a little bit better just because of that. That being said, if you didn't like all the spices, or you feel like Portrait of a Lady is too heavy on the patchouli, which it is, and that the formula has changed, which it has, then maybe you want to experience this one and see if this one is your new favorite potent, long-lasting rose perfume. So that's Reine des Anges. Speaking of roses, let's talk about Xanaboud, which is the rose oud perfume that's in this set. Like I said before, this was not one of the original 7 perfumes that was initially launched by the brand. This one came after. I think I know what this is referring to, and I think that Xanaboud is a reference to Xanadu, which was the estate of Charles Foster Kane in the movie Citizen Kane. Charles Foster Kane is the owner of a media empire, and Citizen Kane is basically him at the end by himself, like the end of his life. He's by himself, and he's talking about his whole life and how he came to become this media mogul, and how he was basically lonely at the end, and he's surrounded by all this stuff, but he is by himself, you know, and there is it's kind of a sad movie because of that. Xanaboud is not a sad perfume, I will say that. It is a really luxurious rose oud perfume. If you love rose ouds, then you might like Xanaboud. I don't have a rose oud in my perfume collection, and that's not a scent profile that I'm very, very familiar with. So I don't know what I would compare this to. Maybe nothing. It is a really rich, luxurious Taif rose, and the oud doesn't smell offensive. It's not medicinal. It's not overly barnyardy, but it's there and it's easy to wear. So I really like wearing Xanaboud when I did wear it. I wore it a ton over the summer when I was visiting my family in Toronto, but not one that I would necessarily add to my collection because I don't want to add a rose oud to my collection. It's not something that I would reach for very regularly. But I really did enjoy wearing this sample, and I will continue to wear it. The last 2 perfumes are the ones that I'm least familiar with. And maybe that's fitting. Maybe that says something about me because they are Somewhere and Alone Together. And both of these perfumes are correlated to the middle of the day. So Somewhere is a perfume that's for 3 p.m. and Alone Together is a perfume that's for 12 p.m., so lunchtime. So maybe they are just the more casual perfumes in this collection of scents. Alone Together is the citrusy perfume that's in the collection. So if you're looking for a potent, interesting citrus, Alone Together is what is going to be for you. And if you're looking for something that's citrusy, but it's got kind of an earthiness to it, then Somewhere is the one that is for you. And Somewhere has an earthiness because of orange blossom. It's got some greenness, and I think there's galbanum in here. There's a lot of vetiver in both of these and a little bit of patchouli in Somewhere. Alone Together reads to me like more of a masculine perfume. Like, I want to say masculine, but like an old school masculine. So where you've got just citruses and vetiver, that is what I think about when I think of Alone Together. And Somewhere is not as old school, but definitely more green. And that's what I think of when I think of something like Somewhere. So they kind of do their job. And when you, I guess when you make a collection of scents, you want something that's going to be the citrusy scent, because some people really love their citruses and they want to wear that. And then you also want something that's very green, because if someone is into green scents and they don't like any of the warm and ambery things, then that is going to be the thing that's for them. Both of these are probably the most genderless scents in the lineup, because I know when a lot of people smell florals, they think that they are very feminine. A lot of people, when they smell ambers, they think of them as very feminine. And then when you get scents that have oud or whiskey or tobacco notes, people think of those as more masculine. These are really more in the middle. If anything, probably Alone Together is, like I said, more masculine, because you think of things like 4711 or any eau de cologne type of perfume, which sometimes in people's heads reads as a more masculine type of scent. And then Somewhere is just green and genderless, and it's got that grassy, earthy kind of quality. So at the end of the day, there's something for everyone in here, and I think that that is a difficult thing to do when you're presenting the world with a new perfume brand. You want everybody to have something that speaks to them, but at the same time, you can't please everybody all the time. And maybe that's something that you got out of this review too, is that I like all of them. I wore all of them. I was able to wear them on skin. There was nothing offensive in any of them. There was nothing that kind of gave me a headache, which I appreciate, because that can always happen when you're testing new perfume. There was also nothing that was boring. There was genuinely things that I found to be addictive and I wanted to keep smelling. And I've told you what those were. Those were the La La Love and the Canadian Tuxedo. I mean, when I was smelling this just recently, I couldn't get enough of how good it is. And it's just so rich. It's just so rich. And I love that. If I had to choose, I think I would choose Canadian Tuxedo, because I liked it first. I think there's more patchouli in Canadian Tuxedo and less in La La Love. Canadian Tuxedo is also a little bit more powdery. I love powdery smells, so I like that one a little bit more. But La La Love is also good. I'm going to keep wearing these, and yeah, if I end up getting them, you'll know about it. Let me know what you think. If you have smelled from this brand, I would love to hear from you. And if you want me to do more reviews of brands where I get the sample set and then I talk about all the scents, or at least say what my favorites were and why they were my favorites, let me know. I know that those types of videos don't always do well, because sometimes the brands are so small that no one has heard of them. And I know that when I first talked about Perfumehead, no one had heard about this brand, especially not anyone in Europe, because it's hard to get in Europe, or impossible to get in Europe right now. But I think they're awesome and they're so good. And huge thank you to the brand for sending me the sample set, because I really got to enjoy these perfumes. And even if I don't end up getting a bottle, I do think that they are something very special. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.